Hi, this is Kelda with low-tech permaculture maps and designs. And again, I'm assuming that even if you do not have access to a lot of devices and technology, you can at least maybe make it to a public library. We can make screenshots and print things out. And so that's what this whole video series is about. And this one is about the base map. So the base map is the base layer, the site as it is, upon which all of your other layers of observation and design will go. So basically, we take a screenshot of a satellite map. So what we include on the base map is some kind of boundary for what you're observing and then designing. So usually a property line. For this one, it's going to be the area, the streets around the park are going to make a natural boundary for the park. The other thing is to also include the whole site. Like, we don't want to just have a map for where you're going to do a food forest or where you're going to do a garden. Give us some context for where's the house, or if it's a community garden, where's the garden shed, where's the parking, where's the so do the whole site, so that we can get an idea of how the humans use the space. The other thing is we need an appropriate scale, and I like to have a scale bar. I don't like to do 1 inch equals so many feet, because that can change. You want to be able to blow up the image or shrink down the image, and that scale bar will change. So I'll give instructions for how to do that. Let's see, the other one is permanent infrastructure. So here we're gonna have the water tower is pretty darn permanent, and the tennis court, the playground, those things aren't generally gonna change with me adding in more gardens or trees. They could change, and so that's kind of an interesting conversation of well, maybe if this tennis court was somewhere else, we could do the XYZ. Basically, the site as it is how you're going to work with it, and we'll get to that in the intricacies later if we need to. Let's see, scale bar, utilities. Usually we do not move utilities, and so that's your electrical lines overhead, your water lines underneath, anything that you want to make sure that you know where it is, so that you're not planting some big tree or some major infrastructure thing there that's going to cause a lot of hassle. We want to save you any mistakes like that by putting those on paper now. And also, let's see, we also want to have north to the top, basically. I mean, that's basically how maps are shown online, and where you're going to find information that you're going to print out, especially when you're doing your sectors and your microclimates. Having north to the top, I can't think of any reason really why I would not want to have north to the top of the image, even if that means that the boundaries are tilted. That's fine. I would rather that than have it square up on the page and be kind of disoriented about where north is. And that'll just, again, make sense as we do lots of observations. We want to see how the site actually interacts with the whole globe and the wind and the sun and things like that.
All right, so first things first, I took a screenshot that included my site and the scale in the same image. And I'm resizing it, being very careful not to resize it so that the proportions change, so it's basically dragging from the corner. And you can just print this out and manipulate exactly what I'm going to show you here, just with scissors and glue, but I thought I'd just do it this way so you could see how most people would probably do it. So I have my site in the main drawing area, the main paper, and so I'm going to take an exact copy of it there. And that means that there's 2 different images of exactly what I'll want to use. And then basically what I do is I crop one so that it shows the design site, and I crop the other one so that it has the scale. Remember, I haven't resized except for when they were together. And so that, in theory, keeps the scale bar pretty much in line with the screenshot of the satellite map. Okay, so from here, you can play around with how big you see it, where exactly the site fits on the paper, where the scale bar sits on the paper. And you can just do all that, if you've printed it out and you're using scissors and the glue stick too. But see that what I just did there with the transparency level? That's handy. And that can also happen, just with a copier as well. So there's a few different options to get you to that. Okay, now I've printed. And I've actually got 2 satellite maps of different years. I've made them exactly the same size. And I just tape it to a window, put a regular piece of paper over it, make sure you do all of the drawing in one sitting, because if you walk away and come back in 2 hours, the sun has changed, so that'll screw up your lines. But it's just pencil and paper right now. Make sure to grab that scale bar too. See all the main infrastructure going in. That was easiest to see with this one satellite map. And then I switch it to the other satellite map. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And that was easier to see the trees.
You've got your base map kind of drawn out and pencil by now. And so what I really recommend doing is taking that map and taking a clipboard and just checking it with reality. And so there's a lot of little things. I mean, between those two satellite maps, you saw that there were slight differences just in like, where is that tree compared to the other tree? And there's just a lot of detail that is worth a walkthrough before you put pen to paper. You still got pencil. So, and the example here is that like, okay, I actually didn't show where the hoops were because they're on the cement, but like, see all of those lights and the telephone pole, that's not telephone, electrical poles, and just like little details like that grill. I'm not going to catch that on a satellite map, but it would be really important to know where that is when it comes to the design phase. And so get your pencil out, get a clipboard out, go and jot down all the different notes you need, and then take that back and put that pen to paper for the next step. Okay.
So this is just to show some pencil and eraser drafts. As I'm walking around, I'm changing things. That's totally okay. All right, and then this is the fun part. I use different markers for different kinds of permanent infrastructure, different line weights. I do deciduous trees, slightly different from conifer. You can do them however you like. I'm also mapping out some utilities. And then I'll use eraser just to kind of clean up with that pencil. And then if it's something you'll be sharing online, I definitely recommend scanning it and putting it into a document where you can manipulate the text and not actually need to lean on your own handwriting, especially for the handwriting folks that are a little messier. But this way you can, just type out whatever it is you want in your key and drag in symbols for that. Make sure you've got your scale. Make sure you've said north to the top of the page. Yep. You can see me. I'll just speed through some of the stuff I'm doing, and so you can see where this ends up later. But basically, anything that helps make sense of the image, it might be easiest to do it just in a document. All right, and so here I'm not showing you all of the steps, but giving you the gist of like me in there, adding text, adding symbols for the key, just anything that would help it make sense to whoever is viewing it. And I mean, that's it. Here we go. You could print it either as it is without all of the key on it, or you can choose to print from that document and have the key with it.